Hello students, today's topic is Production Possibilities Frontier. Let's assume an economy that produces only two goods, cars and computers. तो एक इकोनॉमी हम assume कर रहे हैं जो सिर्फ दो गुड्स प्रोड्यूस करती है, क्या क्या? कार्स एंड कंप्यूटर्स. The production possibilities frontier क्या है? Is a graph. It is a graph that shows the various combinations of आउटपुट. तो ये ग्राफ है जो वेरियस कॉम्बिनेशंस दिखाता है किसके? आउटपुट के. हमारे केस में आउटपुट क्या है? कार्स एंड कंप्यूटर्स. ठीक है, सो इट इज अ ग्राफ दैट शोज वेरियस कॉम्बिनेशंस ऑफ आउटपुट. इन आवर केस आउटपुट इज कार्स एंड कंप्यूटर्स दैट द इकोनॉमी कैन possibly produce given the available factors of production and available production technology that firms use to turn these factors into output. तो ये प्रोडक्शन पॉसिबिलिटी फ्रंटियर या फिर प्रोडक्शन पॉसिबिलिटी कर्व एक ग्राफ है that shows various combinations of output that economy can possibly produce given the available factors of production and available production technology. Okay, so this figure shows the economy's production possibility frontier. If the economy uses all its resources in the car industry, अगर जो economy है वो अपने सारे resources car industry में use कर ले, then it produces 1000 cars and no computers. No computers का reason simple है because the economy has used all its resources in the car industry, so there will be no computers. Let's see this thing in the graph, that if the economy has used all its resources in the car production, then the economy will produce 1000 cars and no computer. That means this coordinate, this one, on the horizontal axis. Okay, if economy uses all its resources in the computer industry, it produces 3000 computers and no cars. अगर इकॉनमी अपने सारे रिसोर्सेज कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री में यूज करे, then the economy will produce 3000 computers and no cars. So if the economy has used all its resources in the computer industry, then the economy will produce 3000 computers and no car. That means this coordinate. The two endpoints of the production possibilities frontier represent these extreme possibilities. तो ये extreme possibilities हैं हमारे पास. First this one, that if this coordinate is showing that the economy has used all its resources in the car industry and the economy has produced 1000 cars and no computer. And if we see this extreme endpoint, this coordinate is showing that the economy has used all its resources in the computer industry, then the economy will produce 3000 computers and no car. More likely, the economy divides its resources between the two industries, and this yields other points on the production possibilities frontier. तो जो इकॉनमी है वो अपने रिसोर्सेज को डिवाइड कर देती है बिटवीन द टू इंडस्ट्रीज. इन आर केस द टू इंडस्ट्रीज आर कार एंड कंप्यूटर, right? And this yields other points on the production possibilities frontier. For example, it can produce 600 cars and 2200 computers shown in the figure by point A. So if we see at point A, it lies on the production possibility frontier. So if the economy divides all its resources between computers and cars, then as we can see at point A, 600 cars have been produced and 2200 computers have been produced. Okay, or by moving some of the factors of production to the car industry from the computer industry. The economy can produce 700 cars and 2000 computers represented by point P. तो वो कह रहा है कि अगर हम कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री से कुछ रिसोर्सेज कुछ फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन हम शिफ्ट कर दें अगर कार इंडस्ट्री में, then the economy can produce 700 cars and 2000 computers represented by point B. So if we shift the resources from the computer industry to the car industry, then earlier we were producing 600 cars and 2200 computers, but now we have shifted the resources from computer to car, so we can produce more cars, 700 cars represented by point B, and less computers if we compare point B to point A. ओके तो बेसिकली इसमें ये बताया कि अगर हम कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री से कुछ रिसोर्सेज कुछ फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन निकाल के अगर हम कार इंडस्ट्री में लगाते हैं, सो वी विल शिफ्ट फ्रॉम पॉइंट ए टू पॉइंट बी वेयर वी कैन प्रोड्यूस मोर कार्स एंड ऑब्वियसली लेस कंप्यूटर्स. No matter how resources are allocated between the two industries, the economy cannot produce the amount of cars and computers represented by point C. So the economy cannot produce this combination of output, that is point C, no matter how the resources are divided between the computer industry and the car industry. Given the technology available for manufacturing cars and computers, the economy does not have enough of the factors of production to support that level of output. तो जो मेन रीज़न है इस बात का कि क्यों इकॉनमी इस कॉम्बिनेशन को प्रोड्यूस नहीं कर सकती, बिकॉज इकॉनमी के पास इतने रिसोर्सेज ही नहीं है, इकॉनमी के पास इतने फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन ही नहीं है टू सपोर्ट दैट लेवल ऑफ आउटपुट, एंड दैट इज द रीज़न इकॉनमी कैन नॉट प्रोड्यूस दिस कॉम्बिनेशन. With the resources it has, the economy can produce at any point on or inside the PPF, but it cannot produce at points outside the PPF. तो जो रिसोर्सेज इकॉनमी के पास है, जो फैक्टर्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन इकॉनमी के पास है, हम सिर्फ और सिर्फ उन कॉम्बिनेशंस को प्रोड्यूस कर सकते हैं विच आर ऑन द PPF और इनसाइड द PPF. सो लेट्स से पॉइंट F, पॉइंट A, point B, point E, and even point D. So all these combinations the economy can produce with the resources it has, but the economy cannot produce any combination outside the PPF, which is point C in our case. So the economy cannot produce this combination. An outcome is said to be efficient if the economy is getting all it can from the scarce resources it has available. Points on rather than inside the PPF represent efficient levels of production. तो अगर हम बात करें इन पॉइंट्स की, पॉइंट F, पॉइंट A, पॉइंट B and point E, all these points that lie on the PPF represent efficient levels of production. When the economy is producing at such a point, say point A, there is no way to produce more of one good without producing less of the other. तो अगर हम बात करें, हम इस पॉइंट को ले, पॉइंट ए को, तो आप पॉइंट ए से किसी भी और पॉइंट की तरफ अगर आप मूव करेंगे, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि दोनों गुड्स की प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज हो जाए. अगर किसी एक की इंक्रीज होगी तो डेफिनेटली दूसरे की डिक्रीज होगी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ आई एम मूविंग फ्रॉम पॉइंट ए टू पॉइंट बी, okay, so we can see that no doubt the production of cars is increased from 600 to 700, but the production of computers is reduced from 2200 to 2000. In a similar manner, for example, if I move from point B to point E, now we can see that the production of cars is increased from 700 to 1000, but the production of computers is reduced from 2000 to 1000. पॉइंट डी रिप्रेजेंट्स एन इनएफिशिएंट आउटकम। अगर हम बात करें इस पॉइंट की, which lies inside the PPF, so it represents an inefficient outcome. For some reason, perhaps widespread unemployment, the economy is not producing less. The economy is producing less than it could from the resources it has available. It is producing only 300 cars and 1000 computers. तो वो कुछ रीज़न दे रहा है, फॉर एग्जांपल अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट की वजह से कि कुछ लोग अनएम्प्लॉयड रह गए और इस वजह से इकॉनमी जो है इज प्रोड्यूसिंग लेस देन इट कुड फ्रॉम द रिसोर्सेज इट हैज अवेलेबल, बिकॉज सारे रिसोर्सेज का कंप्लीट या ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन नहीं हुआ, एंड दैट इज द रीजन इकॉनमी इज प्रोड्यूसिंग लेस. So it is producing only 300 cars and 1000 computers in our case. So this, at this point, the economy is producing 300 cars and 1000 computers. If the source of the inefficiency is eliminated, the economy can increase its production of both the goods. For example, if the economy moves from point D to point A, its production of car increases from 300 to 600 and its production of computer increases from 1000 to 2200. तो अगर हम देखें, जैसे अब ये है हमारा inefficient outcome और ये है हमारा efficient outcome. If the economy moves from this inefficient outcome to the efficient outcome, we can easily see that the production of both the goods has been increased. Let's first see the production of cars. Production of cars is increased from 300 to 600, and the production of computers has been increased from 1000 to 2200. ओके तो अगर जो इकॉनमी है वो एक इनएफिशिएंट आउटकम से एफिशिएंट आउटकम की तरफ जा रही है, इन दैट केस द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ बोथ द गुड्स हैज बीन इंक्रीज्ड. One of the 10 principles of economics discussed in chapter 1 is that people face trade-offs. The PPF shows one trade-off that society faces. Once we have reached the efficient points on the frontier, the only way of getting more of one good is to get less of the other. तो वो ये कह रहा है कि अब इसको एग्जांपल के थ्रू समझते हैं, दैट सपोज दैट व्हेन द इकोनॉमी मूव्स फ्रॉम पॉइंट ए टू पॉइंट बी, द सोसाइटी प्रोड्यूसेस 100 मोर कार्स बट एट द एक्सपेंस ऑफ प्रोड्यूसिंग 200 फ्यूअर कंप्यूटर्स. तो यहाँ पे ट्रेड ऑफ की वो बात कर रहा है, दैट फॉर एग्जांपल if we move from point A to point B, so we can see that no doubt the production of cars is increased plus 100, right? But at the expense of fewer computers. So this is a trade-off. This is a trade-off. Okay. This trade-off helps us understand another of the 10 principles of economics. The cost of something is what you give up to get it, and this is called the opportunity cost. The PPF shows the opportunity cost of one good as measured in terms of other good. When society moves from point A to point B, it gives up 200 computers in order to get 100 additional cars. So we can easily see that when the society moves from point A to point B, it gives up 200 computers to get 100 additional cars. That is, at point A, the opportunity cost of 100 cars is 200 computers. Put it another way, the opportunity cost of each car is 2 computers. So we can write that at point A, opportunity cost of 100 cars is 200 computers. Or we can write opportunity cost of one car is 2 computer. Okay. The opportunity cost of a car in terms of number of computers is not constant in this economy, but depends on how many cars and computers the economy is producing. तो अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट जो है कार की वो कांस्टेंट नहीं है, बल्कि वो उस चीज़ के ऊपर डिपेंड करती है कि इकोनॉमी कितनी कार्स और कितने कंप्यूटर्स जो है वो प्रोड्यूस कर रही है, एंड दिस इज रिफ्लेक्टेड इन द शेप ऑफ पीपीएफ. Because the PPF is bowed outward, the opportunity cost of a car is highest when the economy is producing many cars and fewer computers, such as at point E where the frontier is steep. So if we see this particular point, point E, okay, as you can see that at this point the frontier is steep, and the economy is producing many cars and fewer computers. If I'll just draw this. So you can see that the economy is producing many cars and fewer computers. At this point, opportunity cost of car in terms of numbers of computer is highest. Opportunity cost of car is highest. And when the economy is producing few cars and many computers, such as at point F where the frontier is flatter, the opportunity cost of a car is lower. तो अगर हम देखें इस particular point को, point F को, at this point you can see that the frontier is flatter and the economy is producing few cars and many computers. So at this point, opportunity cost of a car is lower. When the economy is using most of its resources to make computers, such as at point F, the resources best suited to the car production, such as skilled auto workers, are being used in the computer industry. तो अगर हम इस पॉइंट F पर देखें, द इकोनॉमी इज प्रोड्यूसिंग मैनी कंप्यूटर्स, दैट मीन्स कुछ ऐसे रिसोर्सेज जो कार प्रोडक्शन में अच्छे हैं बट वो भी अभी कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री में ही काम कर रहे हैं टू मेक मोर एंड मोर कंप्यूटर्स. Because these workers probably aren't very good at making computers, the economy wouldn't have to lose much computer production to increase car production by 1 unit. अब आप खुद सोचो, अगर कोई इंसान कार प्रोडक्शन में अच्छा है, फॉर एग्जांपल स्किल्ड ऑटो वर्कर है और वो कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री में काम कर रहा है, ऑब्वियसली दे आर नॉट प्रोफेशनली इक्विप्ड टू मेक द कंप्यूटर्स, राइट? सो इफ इफ वी इंक्रीज द कार प्रोडक्शन बाय 1 यूनिट, अगर हम अपनी कार प्रोडक्शन को 1 यूनिट से बढ़ाएंगे, क्या हमें ज़्यादा कंप्यूटर सेक्रीफाइस करने पड़ेंगे वहाँ पर? नहीं. द इकोनॉमी वुडंट हैव टू लूज मच कंप्यूटर प्रोडक्शन बिकॉज the workers that are being used in this computer industry, those skilled auto workers that are being used in the computer industry, they are not professionally equipped to make computers. वो इतना अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन दे ही नहीं सकते वहाँ पर. तो अगर आप अपनी कार की प्रोडक्शन को 1 यूनिट से बढ़ाओगे, आपको कंप्यूटर की प्रोडक्शन को ज़्यादा सेक्रीफाइस वहाँ पे नहीं करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज जो लोग वहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं, दे आर नॉट प्रोफेशनली इक्विप्ड इन मेकिंग कंप्यूटर्स. And that is the reason the opportunity cost of a car in terms of computer is small and the frontier is relatively flat. तो अगर आप इस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट को देखें, यहाँ पर जब हमने कहा था कि अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट जो है कार की वो लोअर है, उसका रीज़न ही यही है कि भाई because the economy is producing many computers at this point, so some of the resources that are best suited to the car production, such as skilled auto workers, they are also being used in the computer industry. Now they are not professionally equipped to make the computers, and that is a reason. In case, for example, if we move from point F to this particular point, let's name it point X. Okay, so as you can see that, mm, we have increased the car production by this amount, and अगर हम sacrifice देखें यहाँ पे computers का सिर्फ इतना, so the opportunity cost of a car is lower. यहाँ पे हमने अगर आप अपने देखिए यहाँ पे कार प्रोडक्शन आपने कितने ज़्यादा से इंक्रीज कर दी है, बट कंप्यूटर्स को आपने कितना सेक्रीफाइस किया, सिर्फ इतना. तो अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट जो है कार की यहाँ पे वो लोअर है. By contrast, when the economy is using most of its resources to make cars, such as at point E, the resources best suited to making cars are already in the car industry. So, if we see this particular point, point E, the economy is producing many cars and fewer computers. Okay, so we can say that the resources best suited to making cars, that means skilled auto workers, are already in the car industry. Which means that if we want to produce an additional car, we have to move some of the best computer technicians out of the computer industry and make them auto workers. Because अब अगर जो स्किल्ड ऑटो वर्कर्स हैं वो ऑलरेडी कार इंडस्ट्री में हैं, तो इसका मतलब है कि अब अगर आपको एडिशनल कार और प्रोड्यूस करनी है तो आपको और रिसोर्सेज चाहिए. तो इसका मतलब क्या है, दैट वी हैव टू मूव सम ऑफ द बेस्ट कंप्यूटर टेक्नीशियंस आउट ऑफ द कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री एंड वी हैव टू मेक देम ऑटो वर्कर्स. नाउ अब जब आप कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री से कुछ लोगों को निकाल के कार इंडस्ट्री में लगाएंगे, इसका मतलब क्या है कि जब आप एडिशनल कार को प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, इट मीन्स अ सब्सटैंशियल लॉस ऑफ अ कंप्यूटर आउटपुट, बिकॉज आपने कुछ बेस्ट कंप्यूटर टेक्नीशियंस को कंप्यूटर इंडस्ट्री से निकाल के कार इंडस्ट्री में शिफ्ट कर दिया. इसका मतलब क्या है कि जब आप एडिशनल कार प्रोड्यूस करेंगे, इट विल क्रिएट अ सब्सटैंशियल लॉस ऑफ द कंप्यूटर आउटपुट, एंड दैट इज द रीजन अपॉर्चुनिटी कॉस्ट ऑफ अ कार इज हाई and the frontier is steep. So at this particular point, we have written that opportunity cost of a car is high, uh, because the reason is that the resources best suited to the car production, that means skilled auto workers, are already in the car industry. So producing an additional car means moving some of the uh, uh, computer technicians from the computer industry and make them auto workers. That means that now if we will produce an additional car, it will create a substantial loss of the computer output, and that is the reason opportunity cost of a car is high. The PPF shows the trade-off between the outputs of different goods at a given time, but the trade-off can change over time. For example, suppose a technological advance in the computer industry raises the number of computers that a worker can produce per week. This advance expands the society's set of opportunities. For any given number of cars, the economy can make more computers. If the economy does not produce any computers, it can still produce 1000 cars, so one endpoint of the frontier will stay the same. But the rest of the PPF shifts outward. As you can see in this figure, that this point will remain same, that if the economy does not produce any computer, then still it can produce 1000 cars. So this endpoint will remain same, but the rest of the PPF will shift outward in this manner. This figure illustrates economic growth. Society can move production from a point on the old frontier to a point on the new frontier. In this example, society moves from point A to point G, enjoying more computers, that is 2300 instead of 2200, and more cars, that is 650 instead of 600. Thank you.